Alright, so I finished the last video by saying that you gotta push yourself to really practice the foreign language. And most people never do it. Most people stay in their comfort zone. So in this video, I would like to expand on this subject using my personal example. So back in the day, many years ago, I decided to learn Spanish. But when I went to different language schools and I asked them, so how it's gonna work, they all told me that I gotta sign up for a year and then I have to attend classes twice a week. And after 1 year, I'll be able to, speak a little bit, and then I can sign up for another course. And maybe after 2 years, I will be able to speak Spanish. But guess what? It wasn't very compelling for me. I'm kind of impatient. I like to learn things fast, so I didn't like that approach. And instead, I started researching people who are really good with languages. Now, most people say, well, you can't learn more than 2 or 3 languages without having it in your DNA, without being naturally gifted. But then I found people who were not naturally gifted with that skill to learn foreign languages, but they still managed to do it. And I kind of deconstructed what they were doing. Now, this is how I came up with some of those strategies like the frequency lists or cognates. But also I realized that everyone who knows how to speak many different foreign languages basically pushes himself or herself to speak from day one. This is probably one of the most common traits between people who are polyglots. They are not afraid to make mistakes. They keep pushing themselves on a daily basis. So I figured, what? Instead of going to a normal school, I'm just going to travel to Spain for 1 month and I'm going to immerse myself in Spanish. Now, did I go to a language school? I didn't. I decided to basically learn Spanish on the streets. So I flew to Malaga, I rented an apartment in the city center, I got my frequency lists, I had my cognates, I had the basic phrases, I had all of those different tools, and basically every single day I kept pushing myself to learn more and more and more. And in fact, I refused to speak English for 1 month. So my friends told me, hey, we want to come with you, and I said, sorry guys, not this time. I have to go on my own because I really wanted to immerse myself in that environment. So every single day I would read those lists, trying to memorize the most frequent words, but then I would push myself to go out there and talk to people. And it wasn't easy. I actually chose the worst place to learn Spanish because in the southern Spain and Andalusia, people speak really fast and, they shorten different words, so it wasn't easy. But I still push myself to go out there and to practice. So literally every single day I would be walking around the beach and I would just talk to people. I would ask them for the time. I would ask them where's the nearest supermarket, even if I didn't need one, but I just wanted to initiate some type of conversation. And I just kept doing it day after day. Of course, at night as well, I would go out and I would simply ask people the same question. Hola, perdón, ¿dónde está la buena fiesta? And where's a great party? Sorry, where's a great party going on tonight? And then they would respond, and then sometimes that was it. But sometimes they would ask me, hey, ¿de dónde eres? Where are you from? You speak decent Spanish. I'm like, no, I'm just learning, I'm trying to learn, blah, 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 blah. Then we talk and talk and talk. And then I go off and I speak to some other people and I ask them the same question. And I literally ended up doing it day after day and night after night. And remember, at the same time, during the day, I would go through all of those lists trying to memorize those most important words and of course cognates. And you know what happened? Within 1 month, I went from the point where I could barely order some water or some tea to the point where I could speak to anybody, anytime about pretty much any topic. Now, was my Spanish perfect after 1 month? No. I made mistakes. I didn't know all the tenses. Sometimes, if I wasn't sure about the past tense, I would just use present tense and kind of make this, make this sign, like, for example, I would say, I go to Barcelona, and I would do this. Like yesterday, I went to Barcelona, but I didn't know how to say went. But again, it didn't matter because I had those building blocks, and I was able to communicate with people. And whenever someone asked me, so for how long you've been learning? Whenever I said, oh, just a few weeks or 1 month, they couldn't believe. Actually, most people didn't believe me. But I believe that it's because they still, had those limitations in their minds that you need years to learn a foreign language. But it's simply not true. And whenever haters tell me, oh, this is not possible, you can't learn a language so fast, you need 2 years, I always respond, hey, 2 years of what? Well, if you go to classes twice a week, then maybe you need 2 years. If you learn like an idiot, and you're trying to learn all the big vocabulary that you will never use, maybe you need 10 years. But if you go on the streets and if you memorize 200 words a day and you really push yourself and push your comfort zone and talk to as many people as possible and encourage others to correct you, and you try to make mistakes and learn from them, why would you need 2 years? You basically accelerate your progress. So the reason why I share with you this story is because I believe that it can inspire you. Now the reality is that I'm not naturally gifted with learning foreign languages. I don't have something special in my DNA, but I simply took a set of tools that worked for other people, and then I basically 10x'd everything, okay? So, normal people maybe learn 20 words a day. I would learn 200 words a day. Normal people talk to 2 strangers a day. I would talk to 20 or 40 or 50 strangers a day in that foreign language, and this is how you accelerate your progress. Now you may be thinking, well, but I don't have the money to fly off to Spain or Italy or whatever it is to practice that foreign language. Well, this is a limiting belief because you don't need to fly to another destination. I mean, nowadays you can talk to people on Skype. There are certain services where you can exchange languages. So basically you can teach them English or Polish or German or whatever language you speak, and in exchange they will teach you their language. So you end up paying nothing, right? It's just an exchange of different skills. So there are so many ways that you can use to immerse yourself in a foreign language. Okay, so nowadays there are no excuses. Push your comfort zone, use those tools, practice on a daily basis, and you will see that you will learn so much faster. Welcome to this course. I'm very happy to have you on board, and in this first video I would like to tell you what's about to happen, because I really believe that before taking any course it's really important to know what to expect, because this in itself will accelerate your progress. So first of all, I'm going to share with you only strategies that I've used personally in my own life. And the reason I'm saying this is because, I could very easily read a cool book or maybe watch a speech and then hear an interesting strategy or a tool and share it with you. But I just want to make sure that I give you stuff that actually works. And this is why I want to test things on myself first before giving those strategies to you. Now, at the beginning, I'm going to start with very general strategies that will build that foundation for everything to come. Basic stuff that will help you in many different realms of your life in terms of productivity and accelerated learning. So for example, things like the 80-20 principle. And then with the course, I'm going to move more to specific strategies. For example, different tricks and techniques for language learning. All right, so what's the best way to watch this course to make the most of it? Well, the way I see it, because this particular course is very compact, very concise, I really believe that you should watch it in one go. All right, so don't procrastinate. Don't say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to watch it tomorrow or I'm going to watch it next week. No, watch it straight away. It won't take too much time. As you can see, it's a very short course. It's going to take you only 40-45 minutes. So go ahead and watch it straight away. And the reason I'm telling you that is because I had situations in my life when I would spend a lot of money on a great course and then I would say to myself, I don't have time now. Let me watch it next week. And guess what? Next week, someday, tomorrow, never come, okay? As humans, we tend to procrastinate, and that's why I believe that you should just take action right away and watch everything. Now, while you're watching the course, when you see certain strategies that you really like, if there are certain videos that seem very compelling to you, simply jot them down, okay? Make sure that you mark them, so later on, after you get that big picture after watching the entire course, you can revisit those lectures, you can watch them again, you can really think about those concepts, take notes, and most importantly, you can implement those strategies. And this is probably the most important thing, because many people get it wrong. Many people feel like, just the simple act of watching something will change their lives. But this is not the case. You have to implement those strategies. It's all about getting things done, all right? So when you learn about certain technique, make a commitment to yourself that you will implement it the same day. And by the way, I almost forgot to tell you about something really interesting. So when you're watching those videos and you feel like it's almost too simple for you, you can hear me very clearly, you have no problems with digesting the content, you can speed up those videos. there is an option underneath the video where you can click on 1.5x, maybe even 2x, and you can essentially watch those videos faster. Now, this is not for everyone, obviously. We have people from 187 countries here, so not everyone is a native speaker. But if you find it quite simple, quite easy, if you can hear me clearly, then experiment, play around, and perhaps you can speed up those videos and watch them faster. Now, on the final note, if there are certain strategies that you know personally and I haven't discussed them in this course, post a discussion. Let me know, let everyone know, all right? If there are any questions you have, any ideas, maybe some concerns, whatever it is, okay? Just post a discussion, let everyone know. I want this community to be very interactive. I don't want people to feel like it has to be a one-way communication. So if there is anything you would like to share, just go ahead and share it with everyone. Hey guys, in this video I'm going to share with you my favorite strategies that actually changed my life, all right? And it's called the 80-20 principle, also called the Pareto principle. So in case you haven't heard about it, basically it says that 80% of your results, your outcomes, is triggered by only 20% of your input, of your effort or time. So essentially the majority of results is triggered by the minority of causes. Very few things really matter. And when you really think about it, it applies to many different realms of our lives. So for example, around 20% of people hold 80% of wealth. When you look at salespeople, usually around 20% of them trigger 80% of sales. Even when you look at your wardrobe and you look at your t-shirts, for example, you'll probably realize that you wear 20% of your favorite t-shirts 80% of the time. If you are a student and you have an exam, you probably notice that 20% of the entire material shows up 80% of the time. So I could give you hundreds of examples right now, but essentially what I'm saying is that the majority of things that happen in your life, the majority of your results is triggered by very few things. Now, unfortunately, many people assign equal importance to all of the tasks they want to perform. And this is very unfortunate because, if you assign equal importance to everything, then you won't be able to capitalize on tasks that really matter. Now, by the way, the ratio is not always 80-20. It can be 85-15, 75-25. There are different ratios, but I don't want to delve too much into details because this video would end up having, 1 hour. But if you are interested in this topic, I highly recommend a great book written by Richard Koch, and it's called The Pareto Principle. But essentially, the main point to remember is that a small percentage of things you do will give you the most results, all right? So when you really think about it, according to 80-20 principle, 80% of the things you will do will end up not giving you the best results, right? So does it make sense to assign equal importance to everything? Well, probably not, right? It really makes sense to take some time to sit down and to reflect, which tasks fall into that 20 category, okay? Which tasks are really vital for creating the best results in your life. So how can you use 80-20 principle in your own life to learn faster and to trigger better results? Well, it's actually very simple and I do it pretty much all the time. Every single day, I personally use 80-20 principle. So instead of simply going through your to-do list or looking at things that you want to learn and assigning equal importance to everything, I highly encourage you to take a step back, all right, pause, reflect and ask yourself, which of those tasks are most important, all right? What's the vital few here? So when you look at the list of things you want to do, instead of simply sleepwalking through life and doing everything at once, ask yourself, okay, if I only had maybe 2-3 hours and I could only do 1 or 2 things, which tasks would be crucial in order to trigger success in my life? And when you start asking yourself those questions, then answers will start coming to you and you will be more productive and you will end up learning things that really matter. So what I would like to ask you to do is, after watching this video, instead of just going straight to the next video, take a few minutes, sit down, prepare a piece of paper, and I'd like to ask you to think about every single task you've been performing in the last few days. Every single thing that you can think about. Now, jot all of those things down in a list and look at them and then ask yourself, which of those tasks are the vital few, okay? Which one of those tasks is the most important? Which one will give me the biggest results? And start analyzing that list and group those tasks into those two categories, 80 and 20. And I can guarantee you that when you do it, it's going to open your eyes and you will realize that you may be wasting a lot of your time doing counterproductive things, and perhaps you should be spending more time doing things that really matter. Now, some people ask me, well, is it enough to do it in my own mind? Well, it's not enough. It's much better if you put it on a piece of paper, because then it becomes real and also it becomes more clear in your mind. So after you finish this video, please go ahead, perform this exercise, be active, implement it, and I can guarantee you that you will see some results, all right? I'm gonna see you in the next video. Alright, so you've just performed the 80-20 analysis of your life. Now, I'm really curious about your results. Did you learn anything? Did you have any aha moments? Well, if this is the case, please go ahead, post a discussion and let me know, because I'm really curious. Now, in this video, I would like to talk to you about one of the biggest challenges people face when it comes to prioritizing. All right, and this is something I faced, for many years. It's something that's really tough to pinpoint, but once you get it, it's much easier to manage, all right? So for a moment, I want you to think about some of the most important tasks you should be performing in your life. And the question is, are they comfortable? Are they easy? Are they simple? Well, probably the answer is no, right? I mean, usually when you think about life, tasks that are uncomfortable, that make you a little bit scared, right? These are the ones that bring you the most results. And it could be something as simple as making a phone call, or setting up an interview, or maybe something a little bit more complex, like for example, shooting a video for your website, or building a website, or going to that business meeting and negotiating a new deal, or whatever it is. But the point is that very often there are certain tasks we should be performing because they can give us the most results, but because they are scary and uncomfortable, in our heads we rationalize why we don't have to perform them straight away. So the question for you: did you ever have a moment, a situation where you went through the day and you felt very busy, right? You were running around, shuffling papers, making calls, and you felt that you are really productive. You felt like you are doing something. And then by the end of the day, you look in the mirror and you realize, wait a second, what have I accomplished today? Have I accomplished anything? And then you realize that you actually haven't created any results, but for some reason you felt busy. What most people fail to realize is that there is a massive difference between being busy and being productive. And you see, you can be running around feeling busy, but it doesn't mean that you are productive. Okay, so it's very important to know that this is just a self-deception. And most of us have it, right? Most of us have this self-deception where, we feel that we are accomplishing something, but actually we are procrastinating on the most important tasks by doing things that don't really matter, by handling all the minutiae. And by the way, it happened to me so many times, and it still happens to me, all right? I know that I should be doing certain things that are really important, but at the same time, they are a little bit uncomfortable. And maybe I'm in my comfort zone now, and I feel good in it, and I don't want to really get out of it. So I focus on doing stuff that, seems important and urgent, but it really isn't. Like, for example, scheduling my Instagram posts, right? Or reading a book, or learning about marketing, or whatever it is. It's very easy to rationalize that certain tasks are more important than others, but really what we should be doing is analyzing everything in the context of 80-20, and then basically pushing yourself to perform that most important task, okay? That should be your priority. All right, so what are the strategies to stay on the right track, to really, make sure that you perform the tasks that are most important, or in case of learning, that you learn things that are crucial for you instead of just trying to learn everything and kind of sleepwalking through the process? Well, there are many different strategies, but I don't want to bombard you with them. I want to give you something that actually works and something that's very simple. So myself, I like to use daily reminders. And I know that it sounds really simple, but it really works. Now, I'd like to give a credit to Tim Ferriss because I learned it from him. But essentially what I like to do every single day, and by the way, I schedule them in advance, so I don't need to do it every day. But I have those reminders that pop up in my phone a few times a day that basically say things like, Are you inventing things to do in order to avoid the important? Are you being lazy, handling all the minutiae in order to avoid the scary task? You can use your own words. This is just an example. But the point is that you set those reminders to essentially trigger yourself back into that zone, right? So you remind yourself that you shouldn't be focusing on everything, but you should always go back to that most important task, okay? It's a very simple strategy, but it really works. And sometimes what happens is that, let's say I'm sitting down on my laptop and I'm reading about, I don't know, Facebook marketing, and it's been 1 hour and I'm still reading about it, and maybe I have my YouTube opened and I'm changing tags in one of the videos, and then I get the reminder, and then I look at it and then I realize, wait a second, what am I doing now? Why am I doing Facebook ads now? I shouldn't be doing this. The most important task for today is actually preparing content for making those videos. I have a deadline. I want to publish a new course. I got to handle those videos. So look, ads are important. Learning marketing is important, but at the same time, I need to make those videos now. I have a deadline. I know that I want to publish a course, and I can handle other things later. And the moment I get that reminder, I basically snap myself back into that zone. I literally mentally slap myself in the face, and I'm like, come on, Jimmy, what the hell are you doing? You got to focus on that one important thing. And then I sit down and get back into my zone. And hey, guess what? I'm just a human being, right? We all are. So we make mistakes, and we fall into those traps quite often, just as humans. So then the next thing you know, I'm focused, I'm working on the videos, and maybe 4 or 5 hours later, I find myself, reading a book and doing this and that, and maybe chatting to someone or Skyping with someone, and then I get another reminder, right? And for example, it says, are you avoiding important things because you are scared of them? And I'm like, wait a second, am I doing it? And then I think about it for a moment and I go back to what I should be doing, all right? It's a very powerful strategy, but it really works. So make sure that, instead of watching the next video and then the next one and the next one, take a moment, just take a minute and set up a bunch of reminders on your phone for the next few days, test drive it, see how you feel, but I can guarantee you that your learning experience and your productivity will definitely increase. On the final note, I would like to mention something really, really important. You have to accept that if you want to achieve greater success in certain area, you got to accept that small bad things may happen, all right? If you want to please everyone and if you want to do everything, then you end up doing nothing. That's the reality. And if you want to be really good in certain area, you got to focus on those most important tasks. And because of that, you may end up missing some of those smaller tasks. And guess what? Some people may get pissed off. Some bad things may happen. But, you always have to think about the big picture, right? That's the most important thing. You always have to think about getting closer to that perfect vision you have for your life. So to give an example, as you probably know, I travel all the time. I've been to 66 countries now, and I just keep moving around. So I do many different things. I try to learn as much as possible everywhere I go. I do public speaking, I write, I do videos, I do many different things. Now, every single day I get bombarded with messages from many different people on my Facebook, here on Udemy, on YouTube, everywhere. Now, I always do my best to respond to those messages. But very often people want to jump on Skype with me, they want to chat, they want to do this, they want to do that. And to be totally honest with you, very often I miss those messages, right? That's the first thing. There are just too many of them. Sometimes, even if I see them, I would respond in a very concise way. And I can't jump on all of those calls. I can't accept all of the offers. Hey, can we Skype for 30 minutes? Because if I did that, then I would have to spend probably 10 hours a day handling calls. And then I wouldn't be able to, create content, to learn, to travel, to learn new skills, to do all of those things I want to do in my life, right? So I have to say no sometimes. I can't say yes to everyone. And guess what? Some people get pissed off. Some people say, oh, you're so busy. Oh, you're so successful. You can't even talk to me. They don't realize that 100 different people wrote the same message to me in the last 7 days. But I accept that some people may not like me for that. I accept that some people may get pissed off because I know what's my grand vision. I know what I want to accomplish and what are the crucial tasks I want to perform. I want to put it out there because way too many people try to make everything perfect. They never want bad things to happen, right? They want to please everyone, but you can't please everyone. So please remember about it. And when you define what you will be doing today, when you have that list of tasks and you are deciding between them, then assume that some small bad things may happen, but it's always about your grand vision, all right? Alright, so I hope that by now you can really appreciate the value of the 80-20 principle, but not only that, I hope that you are already implementing it in your life, because as I said, it's going to bring you so many great results. So in this video, I would like to share with you what you can do to even maximize those results. I recommend that every single day you define that one critical task that you will focus on. And by the way, I know what you may be thinking right now. Well, I have 20 different things I gotta do. I can't just pick one. So look, let me explain. I don't want you to pick only one thing and focus solely on that. Of course, everyone has different situation. You may be a student watching this, but you may also be an investment banker. Perhaps you have your own business, or maybe you are retired. There are so many people watching those videos from different walks of life. Obviously, everyone has a different situation. But what I'm saying is that you should pick one task that's going to be your priority, and during the day, you consciously block out some of your time to purely focus on that one task. And when I say focus on it, I'm talking about giving it your best, getting in the zone, giving it your undivided attention. And undivided attention is the key phrase here, okay? It's very important, because the reality is that most people, they want to perform certain tasks and they jump from A to B to C back to A, or they try to do everything at once. But when you are trying to multitask, you can't really unleash your true potential. You can't get into that zone. And it's all about choosing that one important task that's more important than anything else and giving it some undivided time. So for example, let's say that you picked up that task and you say to yourself, all right, I'm gonna do it for 2 hours straight. And that's the only thing I'm gonna do. Well, when you get into that zone to perform that particular task, the last thing you want to do is to get distracted. Because what's gonna happen is that when you lose that concentration and you get distracted by reading Facebook messages or checking your Instagram or talking to someone, it's gonna take you so much time to get back in the zone. And there's a lot of research done on this topic that, different research says different things, but essentially, overall it says that it takes 20, 30, 40 minutes to get back in the zone. Obviously, it depends on a person. Everyone has different concentration level, but the point is that it's going to take you a long time to get back in the zone, and that time is wasted. You ever had a situation when you had to write something and initially you can't focus, you feel like it's a mission impossible, you're trying to summon that motivation to do it, and then at some point, maybe after half an hour, maybe after 1 hour, it clicks. And it feels like everything is flowing. You don't even have to think. Words just appear on the paper and just keep writing. But then what happens? Your friend stops by. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? You start chatting to your friend. After 5 minutes, you sit back. Guess what? You are back in the ground zero. You have to start all over again. You have to get yourself into that zone, and it takes so much time. So when you choose that one critical task to do, make sure that you block out all the distractions and you focus on that. So let me give you a personal example, actually from today. So I woke up today and of course I wrote the list of things I want to accomplish, and there are many things, from filming those videos to writing new things, meeting my movie crew, having another business meeting, a bunch of Skype calls, reading a book, going to the gym, many different things. Now, if I simply approached this day as normal people do, then I would probably get caught up by some of those less important activities, and I would probably miss out on things that really matter. So instead, I asked myself, okay, if I could only do 1 or 2 things today, what would be the most important tasks that would essentially make my day? So in the evening when I look in the mirror, I feel like, oh wow, it was a great day. And I realized that if I film those videos that I'm filming right now, if that's the only thing that I accomplished today, I don't go to the gym, I skip my meetings, but I only film those videos, I'm gonna be a happy man. So I decided this is gonna be my main task for today. So now I have a few hours blocked out, and I focus purely on this. My phone is off. I'm not checking my messages. I don't care about that. I just care about making those videos, giving you as much value as possible. And when I complete this task, I'm going to feel so great that probably I'm going to complete even more tasks later on, because I'm going to use that momentum to do even more. But if I didn't set that intention that I want to focus on this one crucial thing first, well, probably I would get distracted by many different things on my to-do list, and I would end up doing bits and pieces of different things. And then by the end of the day, I would look in the mirror thinking, well, did that really accomplish anything? Shit, I wasted so much of my time, you know? So you want to avoid those situations by being conscious of how you choose things you do. Have you ever had a situation when you were going shopping and you had a list of things that you wanted to buy? Maybe 8, 10, 12 different things. And the next thing you know, you're in the shop, you want to pull out the list. Oh, wow, surprise, it's not there. You lost it, you forgot it. You don't know, but the point is, it's not there. You still got to buy all of those things, but you don't remember. Of course, you take your phone and you're trying to call one of your friends or your spouse or whoever it is. But what if I told you that you could have that list in your mind, embed it in your mind, and it wouldn't take you 1 hour to memorize it. It wouldn't take you even 10 minutes to memorize it, but it would take you less than a minute. You may be thinking now, well, maybe for some people, it would work, but not for me. I don't have a good memory. It's not in my DNA. I'm not a fast learner. Well, the technique I'm going to share with you is very simple, really, really simple. And there are different variations of this technique, but I'm going to share with you a very simple version that you can literally use right after watching this video. And no matter who you are, you will have the results. All right? Sounds good? Cool. Let's get started. So what I want to talk to you about is the PEG system. PEG system is essentially about creating mental hooks in your mind that unfortunately you have to memorize. These are mental hooks you have to memorize, but they will serve you for years to come. Why would you use mental hooks? Well, because when you want to memorize a list of different words, different items, numbers are something that you can't really visualize, right? They are very tough to visualize. And that's why instead of using numbers, you use mental hooks, which are certain items you pick. For example, number 1 could be a candle. Number 1 resembles a candle, right? It's very similar. Number 2 could be a swan. When you think about it, number 2 looks a little bit like a swan. Number 3 could be heart. Again, there is a similarity. Number 4 could be, a chair. Number 5, a hook. So you basically assign certain item to each number, and these become your mental hooks. Now you have to memorize them. If I wake you up in the middle of the night and I ask you, what's the mental hook number 7? You gotta know. What's the hook number 3? You gotta know straight away. But once you memorize them, you can use them to build associations with things you want to memorize. So anyway, if it's still a bit confusing, let me explain by a quick example. Let's say that you go to the shop and you have a list of items you want to buy. And let's make it easy because I don't want to make this video too long. Let's say that you got to buy 3 things. For example, you got to buy some milk, some porridge, and you got to buy some dark chocolate, okay? Milk, porridge, dark chocolate. Now, obviously, this is easy to memorize, but again, I want to give you a simple example. So most people would try to memorize it, and the chances are they go to the shop, they can still forget about one of those items. Now, if you have your mental hooks, you can use them to build associations with those words that you have to memorize. So what was my hook number 1? Candle, right? My hook number 2, swan. My hook number 3, heart. So now I can use those things, those mental hooks, to build an association with the words I want to memorize. So number 1 is candle. What's the first thing I want to buy? Milk. How can I possibly make some type of association? Well, I can imagine myself taking a bunch of candles and just smashing them on the ground to the point where they become a powder, and that powder turns into milk. Sounds ridiculous, but in fact, the more ridiculous, the more crazy the story in your mind is, the better, because it's going to be easier for you to remember that. Okay, what's my hook number 2? Swan. What's the number 2 item on my list that I want to buy? Porridge. So how can I connect swan to porridge? Well, I can imagine that there is a swan, and instead of feeding it, with some bread, I just pull out some porridge. I don't know. Basic association. Okay, what's my mental hook number 3? Heart. What's my item number 3? Dark chocolate, okay? Again, how can I associate it? Well, heart. I love dark chocolate. Wow, dark chocolate is so nice. So now I built those basic associations in my mind, and the cool thing about it is that I don't even need to memorize those words from the list of things I need to buy. Because when I show up in the shop 5 hours from now, even 2 days from now, I just have to think about my mental hooks that I already know by heart. And then suddenly I'm gonna see that item I'm looking for. So I'm gonna think to myself, okay, I'm in the shop. Number 1 is candle. Okay, candle. Ah yeah, candle. I smash candle on the ground. Powder. Milk. I gotta buy milk. Cool. What's my hook number 2? Swan. Ah yeah, I'm feeding it with porridge. Yeah, it's porridge. Cool. I gotta buy some porridge. What's my mental hook number 3? Heart. Heart. Ah, of course, I love dark chocolate. Boom, here you go. So it's so easy, right? Again, this example is very simple. I don't want to waste time on giving you an example of 20 different words, but you could use this principle, this technique with 10 words, 20 words, 50 words if you want. And the cool thing is that, you can recall different items directly. So if someone asks you, what's the item number 5? You just have to think about your mental hook number 5, and straight away you will have that association and you will be able to recall that word, okay? This technique is really powerful, okay? Make sure that you use it. It's gonna totally revolutionize your life. Hey guys, in this video I'm gonna talk to you about a very simple concept that will definitely help you to understand everything that you are learning to a higher level. And it's very simple. If you really want to understand something, teach it to someone else. Now, you probably heard it many times, probably back at school, but surprisingly, so many people don't even try to use this principle. And the fact is that when you're learning passively, when you're simply learning, reading something without saying it aloud, without trying to think and explain it, then it's much tougher for you to truly understand what it is that you're trying to learn. On the other hand, when you put it in your own words and you're trying to explain it to someone else, that's when you get to the next level of understanding. Now, when you teach someone something that you are learning yourself, that's when you increase the probability of remembering those concepts many years from now. And this is what you want, right? You don't just want to learn something and forget it after a few months. You want to remember it for many, many years, ideally forever, right? What I recommend you to do is whenever you're learning something new and you stumble upon some interesting concept, teach it to someone, explain it to someone. So what I like to do myself is I like to call up one of my friends and just tell them about it. Hey, listen, I just learned something really interesting. Now, obviously, I don't call my friends all the time, but sometimes what I like to do is I'll take my phone and send an audio message to one of my WhatsApp groups and tell them about what I've done. And if I feel like no one would be interested in this particular thing, I would just talk to myself and I would pretend that someone is sitting there and I would try to explain it to them verbally. And this is really important, okay? Because some people tell me, well, but I can't teach anyone. My friends don't want to learn about the same things. What should I do? As I said, it's very simple. Imagine that you are talking to someone, but nobody has to be in the room. Nobody has to be in the room. It's all about that action of you actually saying something aloud, verbalizing your thoughts. And by the way, one tip, when you do it, try to imagine that you are teaching a bunch of kids, okay? Because you gotta make sure that you explain things in a very simple way. When you overcomplicate things, it probably means that you don't truly understand the concept. But when you truly understand the concept, that's when it's so easy to explain it in a simple way. So always when you perform this exercise, imagine that there are a bunch of kids sitting there, they are maybe 10, 12 years old, and you want to teach this concept to them. How would you do it to make sure that they will understand you? Trust me, guys, this is really powerful. Use it and you will see that your learning experience will get to the next level. In this video, I'd like to talk to you about learning by listening. And this is one of my favorite strategies for accelerated learning. So when people think about learning, they usually have this idea in their mind that they are sitting somewhere reading a book. But there are many other ways to learn. And one of my favorite ones is listening to different things, whether it's audiobooks, podcasts, speeches, etc. Even my own voice, all right? So what I like to do myself, whenever I perform certain mechanical activities, such as driving my car, or perhaps washing the dishes or doing things like that, when I'm not required to think about anything specific, I like to listen to something. Listen and process and think. Now, when you really think about it, if you spend only 1, maybe 2 hours a day listening to audiobooks, how many books can you devour in a year? I mean, it's pretty crazy, but you could literally consume 50, maybe even 100 books in a single year just by listening. You may be thinking, well, but I don't have time to listen. Look, that's the point. You listen to audiobooks while you are performing tasks that don't require you to think. When you're driving your car, can't you listen? Well, of course you can. I mean, if someone's sitting next to you, you may want to talk to them. But if it's just you, you can listen to your audiobooks. If you are in public transportation, the same thing. When you're walking on the street and you want to meet a friend, you're about to meet that person in 10-15 minutes, why not listen to some audiobooks? So we all have those chunks of free time, and if you're smart about it and you have 10 minutes here and 20 minutes there, when you put it all together, not a problem. You could definitely listen for 1 to 2 hours every single day. Now, one thing that I really like to do, and it's very powerful, is to record my own voice with the information that I specifically want to learn. So for example, when I read books and when I listen to podcasts, I try to take notes. And when I have a bunch of really good notes, I like to take my phone, literally take my phone, and then I press record, and then I read those notes aloud. I record my voice on this small thing here, and then later on, I can listen to the audio while performing all of those mechanical things. I'm driving my car, and I can listen to myself talking about the concepts that I'm trying to learn. Sometimes when I prepare my courses and I brainstorm different topics, I like to do it using audio. And then later on, I can literally, again, pull out my phone, and then I can just put my headphones in and I can listen to all of those concepts. And this allows me to make everything more clear. So when I actually have some time to sit down and to take a piece of paper or to open my laptop, it's much easier for me to come up with the right curriculum for the course. So make sure that you use it in your own life because it can be very powerful. Whether you are learning for exams, learning new languages, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You can use audio to your advantage. So for example, let's say that you are learning, I don't know, Italian, right? You want to learn Italian vocabulary. Why not take that list of words and just record the audio and then the translation? And then you can listen to it while on the go and you can learn a bunch of words just like this with no problems. If you are a student and you know that you have an exam in a week from now, you have a bunch of notes, why don't you take your phone and record the audio of those notes very slowly, very clearly, so then you can listen to it while, for example, chilling, lying down in the park, on the beach. You can close your eyes, lie down, enjoy yourself, and get all of that knowledge. It's a really simple technique, but it's very powerful, so make sure that you use it. Hey guys, in the next few videos, I'm going to share with you some of my best hacks for learning foreign languages. All right, so in this video, I'm going to start with cognates. Now, do you ever have situations when you are trying to learn a new language and you feel like you know absolutely nothing about it? You have to start from ground zero? Well, the chances are this is not the case. And you may be thinking, well, this doesn't make any sense. But it actually does because there is something called cognates. Now, cognates are words that are similar in different languages. So to give a quick example, in English you can say possible, but in Spanish it's gonna be possible, or in Italian, possibile. So this word is so similar in those various languages, and because of that, when you want to learn, let's say, Italian, you can just look at that word once and the chances are you will remember it. I mean, there are some differences in pronunciation and spelling, but overall they are very, very similar. So what I recommend you to do is, when you learn a new language, download a list of cognates. And by the way, there are some YouTube videos as well, so you can listen to them and you can hear the pronunciation. But basically, when you go through those lists of cognates, you'll realize that there are so many different words that you actually already know in a foreign language. You just have to practice the pronunciation and that's it. And you know, it's really amazing because when you, for example, learn Spanish and you get a big list of cognates, you can go through it once or twice, and basically that will give you a foundation to understand that foreign language. And you know, some people say, well, it's not possible to learn a language within a couple of months, but it's mainly because they don't know those hacks and they follow the traditional system. When you basically go to school, you have your textbook, you know, you learn twice a week and you're trying to learn all this bullshit vocabulary that you'll probably never use. I mean, when you think about it, how often do you use those, you know, different words for tools that you need in order to fix your car? I mean, how often do you use those words in your native language? The chances are not too often. So why would you learn it in a foreign language when it's your 5th day of learning? It doesn't make any sense. You know, I believe that you gotta focus on things that are easy and things that are most common, okay? Things that you actually have to use in your everyday life. So make sure that you use cognates. And by the way, you know, if you find a list and you're not sure about the pronunciation, then, I mean, simply ask one of your friends who speaks that language to record an audio list for you so you can listen to their voice while you are performing mechanical tasks, maybe cleaning the house or driving your car. And at the same time, you can listen to your friend's voice and learn all of those cognates. And if you don't have any friend who speaks that language, I mean, just go on Fiverr, go on Upwork, pay someone 10, 15, 20 bucks. They can record the list for you, and this way you will learn that language so much faster.